Okay, hi, this is Dan Henk, and welcome to another edition of the Skull Sessions. And today my guest is Nathan Ludwig. That's correct?
Yep, you got it.
Awesome. All right, man. So, what do you got going on?
So yeah, I got a book coming out tomorrow, April the 7th. It's called The Resurrection Girl. It is through Uncomfortably Dark Press and the amazing Candace Nola, who, if you are, anybody that matters, you know that she's awesome. So yeah, very excited to be with her press and part of her stable of authors. And yeah, The Resurrection Girl is a really awesome, pulpy kind of horror thriller novel that's coming out tomorrow, and it's been a long time coming to get that book put out, and I'm very excited about people checking it out. So early word so far has been really strong, even stronger than I thought it would be. So I'm very happy with it so far.
Yeah, I see Candace every year. She's awesome. You say it's kind of pulpy. What do you mean? Like, kind of has a feel of like an earlier age, or is it the environment? Is it the character? What is it?
So it takes place in the 80s, but it's not like a retro 80s. It's more like a kind of like No Country for Old Men kind of 80s, where it's just like, it's violent. It's not really stylistic. It's more
That's an
cinematic and
awesome
pulp.
movie, by the way.
It is absolutely, yeah. So it's got a little bit of supernatural, a little bit of paranormal, but it's mostly about this FBI agent. Her name's Anastasia Fell. She has the power to bring people back from the dead just by touching them. But there's all kinds of caveats to it. It's not as miraculous as it sounds. The longer the dead stay dead, the less they remember when they're brought back. Some of them end up being catatonic or Alzheimer's, dementia. The longer they stay dead, so the fresher they are, the more they remember. And when she has a traumatic event early on where she discovers this ability, and of course, the government gets wind of it, and the government. So the FBI uh, takes hold of her basically, and she becomes a ward of the state. Basically, lives in the basement of one of the FBI offices in the Midwest, and they use her abilities to bring back dead criminals at like murder, suicides, and hostage situations, and all that kind of stuff. Bring them back so their conviction rates stay strong, so they can convict the criminals, and the innocent victims are left to die because you can't
Wait,
convict the
so,
criminal
so
without the
are
yeah.
you implying that the government is not always a good guy?
Not always, especially in this circumstance. So
What a
she,
revelation. I would have never guessed.
she's not in a great mental state having to do this. She's not like a prisoner, but she's definitely monitored, and she's not allowed to do a lot of stuff that she wants to. So she's an FBI agent, but she's owned by them, and because of her abilities. And she develops an obsession with this group of serial killer brothers, the Butcher brothers, brother cannibals. They're ritualistic cannibals, and she kind of becomes obsessed with them, with their case, and their infamous breakout from prison. And she kind of attaches to them. And when they escape from prison on Thanksgiving Day with a huge shootout, she convinces the FBI to let her lead the investigation to track them down. And it turns out that they're trying to find a hidden Shoshone Indian reservation out in Wyoming somewhere. That supposedly there's a Wendigo there, and they're trying to unlock the secret to immortality. So they're trying to find this hidden reservation. She's trying to track them down. Bodies everywhere. It gets really bloody really quick. So it's a fun, fast-paced, pulpy, violent, just a good time. Like if you like that kind of thing.
Yeah, no, it sounds like a cool idea. Let me ask you, so does she kind of have Stockholm syndrome? She kind of bonds with criminals, or is it more like she wants to see what they're doing?
Well, because she has a handler of the FBI that she has a little bit of Stockholm syndrome with, an older gentleman named Jack Darlington, who is her handler and is the special agent in charge out in that branch out in the Midwest. So she kind of has a love hate relationship with him, but also she just kind of fixates onto these two criminals, like they're associated with death and destruction, and everybody kind of treats her as an outcast, and she's like almost kind of like the Grim Reaper herself, or like a reverse Grim Reaper. So she knows that they're evil and they're awful, but she kind of is just low key obsessed with them and just wants to know more about them, and also to stop them too. So some people that are obsessed with serial killers know that they're monsters, but there's something about them that people they're just what I mean. They're just hypnotized by it. It's hard to to shake that. So that's kind of what she's
They're kind
about.
of enticed by the drama. Like it starts to like I guess I've heard that with a lot of Charles Manson victims. Like they were
Yeah,
kind of like they kind of fell in love with what he was saying.
yeah, absolutely, yeah. So
So
she, mhm.
is there actually a possibility of immortality, or is that their delusion, or what?
A little bit of both. There's something going on up there, and there are other characters. There's a couple of Shoshone characters that are part of this biker gang, this organized crime family that they kind of their lineage goes back to this reservation. There's a prologue in the beginning that kind of outlines that and the Wendigo and everything. So the brothers are tied to one of the gangsters who helps them escape prison, and they're trying to lay low in the reservation, but they're trying to find out if there really is a Wendigo there and if they can unlock immortality because they're ritualistic cannibals. So they will eat people at special ceremonies like Thanksgiving or at a wedding or at a confirmation, any kind of official ceremony. They believe that gives them extra life for eating their victims at these ceremonies or these gatherings. So that's what.
Did you
Yeah.
kind of play it like you know how there are like some civilizations usually like not as quite developed as like as the like large population settlements, but like they believe like eating the elders provides some information or some knowledge. Is it kind of like that, where they believe eating them helps give them
Yes.
knowledge?
Yes. Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah.
Does it actually give them knowledge?
You, something
That's
does happen. It's not
part of the
exactly.
mistake. So yeah.
Yes. Exactly.
Okay. And
Yeah.
how long does it run for?
So it's a little over 300 pages. So I would say it's probably yeah, a little 310, 315. So it's a proper novel. It's a good little read. So it's my
Okay.
longest book yet so far. I've usually kind of in the 150, 200 pages. So this one was about 75,000 words or so.
Do you normally do novellas or short stories or something along those lines?
Yeah, I usually mostly do novellas or, collections or collaborating with other people for books. I just worked with an author named Mark Taus from Australia. And I did kind of a novella with him with Evil Cookie Publishing, and it was a half and half kind of deal. It was about 150 pages, about 40K words. So we each did about 20K. So that's kind of my wheelhouse is 20 to 30 to 40K. So this is definitely the longest thing I've done, and it took me a while to do it. So, but I am eager to try that again because it's a lot of fun to try to get it out there as far as you can. So this it's a lot of fun. It started as a screenplay, so it was took about 10 years to get it from screenplay to novel, taking my time, but uh,
What was the transition? Was it like screenplay to novel? Was it originally written as a screenplay? Um, what was going there?
yeah, so I started that one in 2015. I was, I've been writing all my life, like short stories and stuff. But when I was in my early 20s, I wanted to try to be a screenwriter. So I was obsessed with the whole screenwriting thing. And so I pretty much just exclusively wrote screenplays for a long time. And that one was one of the last ones I did before I started transitioning into writing books. And yeah, it was about a 120-page screenplay, and submitted it to a bunch of screenplay festivals and competitions and stuff, and it did really well. It actually placed highly in a couple places, and it's the funny thing with screenplays. I don't know a lot of authors or readers know this, but you can get a whole bunch of awards from screenplay competitions and festivals, and then nothing
Right.
happens with it. That's it. There's nowhere else for it to go,
Yeah,
and
no,
a
yeah,
lot
I've
of.
heard that with
Yeah.
everything, with like musicians, with
Mhm.
artists, with writers, and everything. It's like it's not necessarily the best that makes it. It's like right time, right place, right
Mhm.
circumstances, all that stuff.
Yeah. Yep. And I sent it for like, you can send in for feedback for screenplays, like screenplay readers and producers will read it and they'll give you very detailed feedback notes. If this were going to be made into a movie, this is what you would do. And they were like, yeah, it's really good objectively, but like, um, it's set in the 80s and set in the flashback is in the 50s and it's too violent. So it'll never get made into a movie. So, movie audiences and, people that read extreme horror and splatterpunk, they're used to a lot of crazy violence, but a lot of people forget that like movie producers, like, screenplay readers, they're not used to that level of violence in movies. They kind of shy away from that. So when they see a lot of crazy bloody violence, they're like, yeah, this is like an NC-17, basically. It's not going to get made. So, it was good notes, but there's really nothing I could do with that. So I kind of let it sit for a while. And then I wrote a couple novellas, and I thought, you know what, I should probably turn this into a book too. And then I started the process. I think it's kind of easier turning a screenplay into a book rather than the other way around, because basically a screenplay is like kind of like the cliff notes for the book.
Right, right.
It's
You
like
can
an
like
outline.
flesh it
So
out with a book,
yeah,
right?
you got the dialogue. You just got to fill in the prose. So
You're
I
not
think that,
worried about the budget for the special effects and all that sort of stuff.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, it was a fun experience.
When you say pulpy, what I think of is I think of like the stories had it seems like they had a little more heft to them. Like back in the day, like even when they do movies like Pumpkinhead, for instance, there was a strong story behind it, but there might be some graphic elements, but the focus wasn't like Art the Clown, the focus
Yeah,
wasn't like, just everything gory we'll throw at the screen. It was more like, everything's going one way, it's kind of dark, and then all of a sudden, boom, and you're like, whoa, that's way more shocking than if it was
yeah,
the entire time. So
yeah. No, it's
is that kind of what you were thinking of, like with the pulpy, like kind of like also I think a little bit vintage is it's almost vintage, not in that it's like transistors or something like 1970s, but vintage as in the old way of storytelling, like the Richard Matheson like built it up.
yeah, like Richard Matheson. Kind of like Brian Garfield, or just very like very staccato, very like to the point. Like I love reading flowery prose, and a lot of other authors very descriptive passages, everything. It can be like poetry, but I write very kind of like to the point, like a screenplay. Like it's very like there's a lot going on, there's a lot of description and everything, but it's like I'm there to tell the story very directly. And so yes, I don't know if you're familiar with Walter Hill, the director. He's done, I tell you, like The Warriors, and he
No,
wrote the
yeah,
screenplay
I
for the
know his
original
work.
Alien.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he does a lot of really good, Extreme Prejudice, Hard Times. He's done a lot of really good kind of manly, action thriller films, and he writes like that. If you ever read one of his screenplays, it's very to the point. There's not a lot of flowery prose. He's just there to tell the story, and that's kind of how I kind of write too as well. Not nowhere near as good as him, obviously, but that's just kind of how I, like a lot of pulpy movie. It's very similar to the story here. Has a lot in common with like Near Dark, the vampire movie from the 80s.
I think
Uh,
that's the best vampire movie ever and so underrated. So many
yeah,
people have never seen it.
I prefer it to the Lost Boys. I don't have a problem with the Lost Boys, but I like Near Dark so much better.
Oh,
And it came
I
out
think
around
it's
the same
way
time.
better. Way better,
Yeah.
yeah.
So like Near Dark, Ravenous, movies like that. This definitely is very similar to that. Dust Devil, and a little bit of Sicario and No Country for Old Men. Thunderheart. So it's like kind of mixes that like FBI thriller, corrupt FBI thriller kind of movie.
Well, you're naming all really good movies, so like that definitely helps elevate it.
So, kind of an FBI agent who's in over her head, a lot like Sicario, kind of mixed with a little supernatural elements like Near Dark and Ravenous. So, and Ravenous is one of my favorite movies, even though, it's set in a different period. It's kind of got the same vibe, as well.
Right.
Little bit of dark humor underneath, but not too much. But it is mostly kind of a serious, kind of pulpy horror adventure thriller.
Is it dark humor like a couple things thrown in, or is it like more like bad taste, where it's like, there's humor everywhere?
Yeah, it's more like a gallows kind of humor with the characters. They're all kind of like Pulp Fiction kind of way of the gun. Like everybody's like kind of like a tough guy, but not like in a parody kind of way. Like everybody's, there's a lot of mean mother truckers in this
Right.
story.
They've got
All
the
out to get
quirks
each
and
other.
stuff, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like Rob Zombie kind of stuff. Like I'm a big fan of Rob Zombie's movies. I like his genre. I like to tell people is like crappy people doing crappy things to other crappy people. So, and that's my favorite kind of genre. And I wrote a book before this called Love Potion 666, which is very much like From Dusk Till Dawn meets like Serpent in the Rainbow and True Romance and all those kind of 90s movies. And it's
That's
just,
True Romance is also one of my top five. It's
yeah,
awesome. Yeah.
I love that movie so much. And that book is just really terrible people just doing terrible things to other terrible people for 200 pages. And it's so
And
much fun.
how good was Gary Oldman in that movie?
Oh my God. As Drexel,
I mean,
yes.
he's good in every movie, but in that movie, he's awesome.
Like almost unrecognizable if you didn't know it was
Yeah.
him. You're like, wait a minute, who is that? He looks familiar. But like that cast is insane. It's like Val Kilmer,
Oh yeah, yeah.
like
James
Brad Pitt.
Gandolfini, Brad Pitt, like everyone.
It's such a great. I'm going to watch that tonight, actually.
Okay, so going back to your book for a minute, how did you how do you expand it? Is it like first person? Is it third person? Did you kind of like go a little bit more detail heavy, a little bit, some people kind of skip on the details, but it's still like they tell the story. Like Cormac McCarthy does it a lot. Like,
Mhm.
he's just like the way that he tells stuff is so good that he doesn't have to provide every single little detail. You kind of get the feel.
Yeah, that's kind of similar. I mean, I'm never in a million years be anywhere as good as Cormac McCarthy, but yes, I know what you're saying. Yes, so the answer to that is yes. I do a lot of like the book is third person, but you get a lot of inner thoughts of the characters. Like it's each chapter, it would be as a different character, kind of like Game of Thrones, where it's like
It's
the
kind of a
headings.
closer person.
Yeah, so yeah, each chapter kind of switches back and forth. The two main character perspectives is Anna, the FBI agent, and then one of the Butcher brothers, Mason. Those are the kind of the two main characters, and there's a couple other supporting characters you get a couple chapters from as well too. But yeah, it's from the perspective of that character, third person, and so you get some inner thoughts, you get some of that stuff, but a lot of dialogue. I love writing dialogue. That's my favorite thing to do, and you get enough description and geography as to I give you enough location and description for you to paint the rest of the picture yourself, and then I just go with the violence and the dialogue.
I would say that one of Stephen King's biggest strengths is dialogue. There's a big
Yeah.
problem with endings, but his dialogue is great. Very believable characters.
Yes, yes, I love Stephen King. I read Cujo when I was in in middle school, like sixth or seventh grade, and that book made me not want to get a dog for a long time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
early Stephen King is untouchable. Like Carrie and Firestarter and Christine. It
yeah.
was all very good. I think you got, maybe it was the cocaine. I don't know, but he got way more verbose. Like
Hmm.
I remember I read one of his books and he spent a whole chapter describing toilet paper. I was like, all right, I'm done.
That sounds like Stephen King. Yeah, that's probably the cocaine talking.
He's like, oh, the texture. I'm like, dude, I don't really care. But
Yeah.
anyways, all right. So do you plan on this being a movie? Is there like, are you planning on being a series? Like, do you have future ambitions for this work?
Please like and subscribe before he kills again.
Oh, sure. Yeah, it started out as a screenplay, so I definitely have ideas for it as a movie. Funny thing is, sometimes to get a movie made, you got to write the book first, and then it gets adapted. But yeah, I would love it to turn into a movie. It would be a lot of fun, or like a limited series or something. People seem to do that a lot now, like a mini series. But
It
yeah,
sounds kind of already made for a movie because there's a screenplay and then you turn it into a movie
yes,
to a
yeah,
book.
it's pretty,
Yeah.
pretty movie ready. I always keep that in mind. My last couple books, Love Potion 666, the one I was talking about earlier, was a screenplay as well. So I'm kind of in my screenplay phase where I adapted all my screenplays into novels. I'm running out of them. I got one more, and then I got to come up with completely original stuff.
Do you find that you have a better return when you're doing screenplay stuff or novel stuff?
A lot of people will say, "Oh, it's very cinematic, like those books," and I'm like, "Yeah, well, it's because it was a screenplay first." So yes, like, and I take that as a compliment. So they're like, "Oh yeah, I can tell," and that's fine with me because that was the intention. So yes, a lot of people say that my the books that I've written so far are very like movie like, very so I like that. That's that kind of my style.
They're usually when people write a book and make it into a movie, like I'm thinking like American Psycho is like I read American Psycho first. I was like, it's an awesome novel. Then I saw the movie, and now I like it better. But at the time, I was like, oh, you left so much out. You just ruined
Mhm.
the novel. So, do you think if this was translated into a movie, it would leave a lot out, or is it kind of made so in that way? So it's like a concise, almost cutting of the script where it fit.
Yeah, I think it's tough with book. I was thinking about this earlier. It's kind of unfair. A lot of people judge books versus movies, and it's like, oh, the book is better. I'm like, yeah, I mean, I guess so because there's more in it, but it's not fair to judge a book versus a movie because you have a certain amount of time you got to get in. You don't get the inner thoughts of the character most times. So yeah, you're missing a lot. You're missing a lot of extra scenes. But I think there are a lot of not a ton. I think there are a lot of of movies that do nail the book. I think American Psycho does a good job in the time. You got an hour and 45 minutes to tell a book that book's like 400 or 500 pages, so or more than that. So I
But
think
it's an awesome read. It's definitely worth it.
it's way worse. The book is way worse as far as like graphic,
Oh yeah.
content.
There's one scene where he has like a girl nail gun to the floor and he comes out eating
Mhm.
someone else's brains. It's like you could not put that in a movie.
No, for a rated R movie that was released in theaters, I think it did a pretty good job. Lord of the Rings, I think they did a really good job adapting them into movies. What those books are basically like travel guides for a fake world. So it's just like, some books are. I just think it's unfair to like this 90-minute movie didn't capture this 400-page book. I'm like, of course not. It's not gonna. It's more of a visual medium. It's not going to capture everything. So, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is probably the best book I ever read. Like it's amazing.
I've read
And
the book
I'm
and
not
seen the movie and they're great. Both are great.
and the movie's great, but I can see why people would read the book and watch the movie. It's not the same. It
Right.
just doesn't. It For me, the first time I watched the movie after reading the book, I'm like, this doesn't live up to it. But I've watched it since, and I'm like, yes, this is a great movie. So I think
Maybe it
movies
helped
have,
that I saw the movie first.
yes, yeah, that makes sense. I like watching the movie first and reading the book because then you can it's kind of like the director's cut. If when you're reading the book, it's like the extended version. So
Right. Oh yeah, yeah, exactly.
yeah,
One move. Well, there are two movies that I would say were definitely not. They were, but the movies were a lot better than the book. The book was definitely did not match up. So one's the thing. Like I don't know if
yeah,
you read the original Who Goes There. It's like
yeah.
not nearly as well fleshed out or as good. And the
Hmm.
other is Planet of the Apes. So like in Planet of the Apes with the end of the movie, which spoiler alert, is like is Earth. Like that's not in the book. And the book is just some weird planet out there. That ruins the whole premise of the movie.
Yeah. That's one of the best twist endings of all time, the end
Oh
of
yeah.
Planet of the Apes. Like maybe the best twist ending because
Yeah.
that is so shocking. So yeah, sometimes and the ending for American Psycho, I don't think it was ambiguous in the book, was it? From what I
No,
remember,
no, it's not. And like in the book, I'm like, he's definitely psychotic. And in the movie, it's like you're not sure if that was all in his head or if
was
he's
it
psychotic.
imagined or is it
Yeah.
everybody so vapid and self-absorbed that they don't notice that he's a
Yeah,
killer?
yeah.
So they make it very kind of like, is he or isn't he at the end of the movie? And I know that frustrated some people, but I like the ending. So yeah, it depends.
And there's a lot in the book that's kind of like making fun of the 80s, like the whole party culture and the Hugh Lewis and news and all that stuff. And all that was left out, which I mean, I understand now because it's a fucking movie, but
Yeah,
at the time you're like, hey man, you left all this out. Why? It was so much better. So yeah,
yeah.
that bothered me. But then again, when you're a teenager, it's like it did not follow the letter perfectly. So, you get mad.
Well, they're remaking American Psycho again, so we'll see what they
Uh-oh.
do.
I don't know if I have high hopes. Usually remakes like suck.
I don't think that they're going to be able to. There'll probably be less violence, to be honest with you. I think they're going to go the artsy fartsy route. So we'll
So what
see.
you're saying is probably worse.
Yeah.
All right, so I don't want to keep you here all day, but I have a few more questions for you. So if people are interested in your work, what do you have out now and how can they find it?
Oh yeah. I do. So so the long story short is that I have an LLC called Genre Blast, and I started it as a film festival. As you can see here is Genre Blast. About 10 years ago, I started a film festival. It's just horror, sci-fi, fantasy, action movies from all around the world. We play at the Alamo Drafthouse Cinema in Winchester, Virginia, every Labor Day weekend. So we got one coming up in September, the first weekend. And that's been going great for 10 years. People come from all over the world for that. It's a great time if you come check it out. Our website is genreblast.com. And from Genre Blast Film Festival, I started Genre Blast Books. So I've self-published some of my stuff, and I've also published a couple other authors. So it's very small. We keep it very, very simple, very small. And so my novels, like I said, Old Haunts with Mark Towers is a novella from Evil Cookie Publishing. It's a horror comedy, like Insidious meets Ghostbusters meets Evil Dead. It's a lot of fun. Um, and of course, this book of The Resurrection Girl is coming from Uncomfortably Dark tomorrow, April the 7th, everywhere. And I also have a novel from Genre Blast Books, my press, called Love Potion number 666. It's totally crazy grindhouse action road revenge movie. From Dusk Till Dawn meets True Romance meets all those good Natural Born Killers, all those 90s movies that I love so much. It's not set in the 90s, but it's got that vibe and it's inspired by them. And I have a couple other collections. You can check me out on Amazon, my author profile on Amazon. And I have some other, collections and collaborations as well too. But those are my main books.
I would say from Dusk Till Dawn is very much a grindhouse movie, but I like it. But I'd say the best part of it is Selma Hayek, of course. But I'd say the
Mhm.
worst part of it is that giant, like George Clooney, like that tribal arm piece. Because I'm a tattoo artist, and people would come in all the time. You go, man, I want to get that. Like after a while, you're like, dude, could you pick something original?
Because that's a long time for you to have to put that on there too, right?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
like a 4 or 5 hour job probably.
Uh, if I remember it correctly, it's more than 4 or 5 hours. But
Oh
if I
wow.
remember it correctly, it's this giant, giant piece. And I'm pretty fast when it comes to tribal because it's like just black shading. But still,
Mhm.
if you go too fast, it's like you don't do a good job. So yeah, it's definitely you're committing yourself to something extensive. And to me, if you're spending that much time with something, it's not that good.
Yeah. Doesn't The Rock have something like that? He's got a full sleeve too. Do people do want that one too?
The only thing, so I make this joke, like, so The Rock, he's Hawaiian, so he tried to get something kind of with his Maori,
Mhm.
original, like, culture and stuff like that. So it kind of bonds him to that. So, I would give him that. But when people come in, they want a tribe, they want a tribal, I'd be like, show me your tribal ID card, and then I'll do it. They're like, what? I'm like, well, obviously, if you want a tribal, you're a member of a tribe, right?
Right. Well, it's like with the kanji too. Everybody wants to do kanji, and it's like, how do you know that that's what that says? Like, do you know for sure?
There was a guy in Queens, and they didn't actually bust him until like the 35th time, but people would come in, they go, "Oh, I want the kanji for princess," and he tattoo on them and it say "dirty whore."
Yeah, you got to be careful. You got to know what you got to know what you're putting on there.
Yeah, yeah. I'm like, you probably should get it from one person and then ask someone else who speaks the language what it says.
Yep,
Anyways,
absolutely.
all right, man. Well, thank you for doing this. Do you have anything else you want to shout out? You want people to check out?
Yeah, no, I thank you for having me on. I appreciate you. I appreciate Candace Nola for hooking this up and being a part of Uncomfortably Dark has been a great time. And yeah, just check out genreblast.com. We've got a film festival coming up. It's open to the public, obviously. Come and check out movies all weekend. We just eat food, drink beer, and watch crazy, genre flicks all weekend. So it's always a great time in Winchester, Virginia at the Alamo Drafthouse Cinema. Check out Genre Blast Books online on Amazon, and we have a big cartel website too as well. So I appreciate your
Okay.
time.
Do you have a personal website as well?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram and Twitter, Facebook, all that at Lugenhausen. It's Loogenhausen, Lugenhausen. But you should be able to find me, my author name, Nathan D. Ludwig. I'm on all the social media stuff.
Okay, awesome. Well, thanks, man. Thanks for doing this.
All right, thank you, man. Appreciate it.